And now I would like to welcome the president of our club, Mr. Lucas Califel.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Coral Gables Toastmasters, or July 28th meeting. For everyone that is here, we are very happy to have you to spend your evening to join us as we seek to improve our public speaking skills, our leadership skills, and accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish. I see a few guests with us here tonight. And let's look at the gallery view and see who we have with us tonight. Alexandria, if you'd like to unmute yourself and just give a brief introduction and what you're hoping to get out of tonight's meeting.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandria Martin. I'm a teacher in Miami-Dade County. Today's meeting, I'm just really trying to improve my public speaking. I believe I have a really good public speaking voice, but I get extremely nervous around large crowds of people. So I hope this particular venue will help me improve my public speak when it comes to large crowds of people. Thank you.
All right, Alexandria, thank you very much. And we are happy to have you here tonight. I know, Alexia, you just joined us at the last meeting and you're on your way to becoming one of our members, but I would still like you to unmute if you so wish and just give a brief introduction for us all.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alexia. I'm here to improve my public speaking. I think that's all. And I'm looking forward to becoming a member.
Okay, thank you, Alexia. And once again, we're glad to have you joining us here again tonight at our meeting. Now, I would like to introduce our fantastic Toastmaster of the evening, the person that's going to run the show and make sure that we have a great meeting. Please give a warm virtual hand to Toastmaster Brian DeSimone.
All right, welcome to tonight's Toastmaster meeting. And let me just start off with a little tune for Toastmasters meeting. I'm excited. Woo! Little music to get everybody started, ready to go, get the energy flowing in here. Happy to see everybody involved. Happy to see everybody out tonight. Feeling good. I was driving today. I had to go pick up, I had to go run an errand. I had to go pick up a few things. And with the pandemic, with working at home, it's pretty rare that I just jump in my car and have that opportunity to just kick on some tunes and really enjoy the music. And that song came on today. Billy Idol's White Wedding came on, and I started jamming out to it, and I got inspired because I really didn't know what I was going to do for this meeting, but I heard that song and the energy just kicked up, and I realized, yes, another opportunity to step in today and get better with all of you. And that's what music really means to me. It's a gateway to energy. It's a gateway to vibrations, to really feel what everyone else is feeling. You get together at a concert, you get together at a party, any kind of social event, there's music playing. It really brings people together, it really gets everyone on the same energy level. So I hope that little start got us all on the same page. And tonight we shall begin with our Toastmasters meeting. We got some great speakers up ahead. But before we jump into them, let's introduce our functionaries of the evening. First up, we have our vote counter. Klaus, please, sir, why don't you give a quick introduction? Klaus, you're muted, sir.
Rookie mistake. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. As vote counter, I will collect and count the ballots when the audience votes for best speaker, best topic speaker, best evaluator, and best of the big three. The big three are the Toastmaster, the table topic
Sorry,
master, and the
Okay.
general evaluator.
Sorry, I sent you that. Yeah, the big three. Don't worry about that. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's on me. That's on me. That's my mistake.
Okay. So thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're the counting votes tonight, and for everyone, once we have our speaking categories, everybody at the end of it will go ahead and send a private message to Klaus. Apologize for that, Klaus. I just sent that.
No, don't worry about it.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Moving on, we have our counter of the evening, Felix.
Greetings, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The purpose of the counter is to note the words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, including and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase, such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Felix. Excellent job. And we look forward to your count at the end of the meeting. I always do when it comes to the counter. I always look forward to my count. Next up, myself. I'll be serving as the grammarian for the evening. Let me go ahead and, well, I can't share my screen, but it's okay. I'll read it off and I'll post it in the chat for everyone to see. The word of tonight is crescendo. Crescendo. It can be used in a wide variety of ways. It can be used as a noun. As a noun, it's the loudest point reached in a gradually increasing sound. It could be used as an adjective, gradually increasing in loudness, or as a verb, an increase in loudness or intensity. An example in the verb tense is the reluctant cheers began to crescendo. So you have plenty of opportunities to use this word tonight, and I think it fits beautifully with our music theme. I'll go ahead and post that in the chat now once we kind of get moving here. And we'll introduce our last functionary of the evening, our timer, Mr. Mario Latano. Please, sir, Mario, quick introduction.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As timer, I will be the table topics, speakers' formal speeches, and the evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards on my Zoom background, which denote specific times remaining. Table topic speakers should limit their remarks to no more than 2 minutes. 1 minute, I will raise green, 1 minute, 30 seconds, yellow, and 2 minutes, red. Those giving speeches should limit their remarks to their specific speech times. Icebreakers are 4 to 6 minutes in length, 4 minutes, green, 5 minutes, yellow, 6 minutes, red card. Most of the other general speeches should be 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 6 minutes, yellow card, 7 minutes, red card. The individual evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes in length. 2 minutes, I will raise the green card. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will raise the red card. Tonight, Lucas is doing a different time. So 10 your speech, Lucas, I will put the green card at 11 minutes yellow and 12 minutes red. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Excellent job. Thank you, Mario. Lucas with the extended speech tonight. I'm excited for it. But before we get that, we have a phenomenal speaker coming up first to get us all in the speaking mood, to get our evaluating ears ready to go. We have tonight Felicity Tinney Wilson. She has a speech introduction to go along with her speech. I'll read that quickly. It's the story of the small moments that make the biggest impact in our lives and our business. If only we pay attention, all it takes is one moment to transform and shift our perspective. Felicity will share her experience that caused a shift in her management/leadership styles. Felicity Tinney Wilson ignited to give more. Felicity Tinney Wilson. Felicity, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, ignited to give more. Every year, an inspirational guest presides at my organization's annual leadership meeting. This year, Walter Nussbaum was the guest speaker. He wrote the book called The Sync: Radical Transformation with One Small Change. The theme for each year usually include a series of presentations, reflections from various departments, and testimonials from our customers about all sorts of positive life-altering changes. At the end, we leave with cool gifts, leadership takeaways, and feeling and a general sense of re-energized. We walk away believing that we can be better and do better than the previous year. I know that's how I felt. I was pumped. I knew that even though we were in the bellies of the pandemic, after I heard Walter speak, as a manager, I was ready to be transformational. A few months after that, my staff engagement scores were released. The scores were good, but they were bad. The most shocking thing about the scores were the consistency across the board when it came to staff feeling recognized for doing a good job, and my leader cares about me. My first reaction was personal. I was offended. I was confused. Man, I was tired, disappointed in myself, and numb. I heard other managers say, blame COVID. Did you have a choice? That excuse should have helped, but I thought those scores should have been better. They were better in 2019, so what happened? What changed? I spent a lot of sleepless nights contemplating and self-evaluating, and I made a shocking discovery about my performance and my behavior. The truth is, I was disengaged. I felt disenfranchised and genuinely dissatisfied with my performance. At one point, a colleague said, just use your current job to look for a new one. At that point, I began job searching, looking for similar manager or director level positions. During the third interview, I heard myself describe my management and leadership styles using phrases and responses such as, I communicate goals with my staff so that they can see the bigger picture. I treat my staff the way I wanted to be treated if I were in their position. I engage with daily chit chat with my staff. I practice mentoring. But my responses had nothing to do with the fact that they felt like I didn't care about them or how I recognized them for doing good work. By the fourth interview, not only was I uninterested in taking any of those positions, I realized that I really didn't do a good job during 2020. And sadly, those staff engagement scores are indeed true. Years ago, I had a mentor who said, if you're going to leave one job, make sure that you are done. Make sure that you do not leave with emotional baggage. So in order to determine what I needed to do to change, I took a hard look at my performance and my behavior. I discovered that my dominant management and leadership style had shifted to a hands-off manager in almost every situation. No wonder. There are three broad categories of management styles when you look at the way in which a manager works to fulfill their goals. And that includes the way that that manager plans, organizes, makes decisions, delegates, and manages their staff. An effective manager is someone who can adjust their management style in response to different factors while keeping their focus on successfully achieving targets. So the autocratic management style is a top-down approach with one-way communication from boss to employee, where the manager makes all the decisions and have all the power. The democratic style, communication goes both ways, top-down and bottom-up. and team cohesiveness is increased. This process allows for diverse opinions, skills, and ideas to inform decisions. However, the laissez-faire management style takes a hands-off approach to management. That manager leaves the staff completely to themselves for decision-making and problem solving. Not only is the manager present for delegation and delivery of stages of work, the manager has a step back attitude, leaving the staff with complete freedom to control their workflow and outcomes. Management is largely absent and only presents themselves when if the staff asks for assistance. Earlier, I mentioned the book, The Sink by Walter Nussbaum. Have any of you heard about the book? I'd like to encourage you to read it. This book is 47 pages long. It's written in large font on 5x9 glossy pages. This book changed the way I currently work. On the first page, there's a quote that goes like this: "Sometimes the best messages are random and unexpected from a stranger," end quote. But I'd like to summarize the book this way, the way Mr. Nussbaum summarizes it. And it goes like this: ever met a stranger who changed your way of life forever? Could one sentence change the way you look at relationships, work, maybe your world? There are many day-to-day interactions that we brush off as unimportant. What if we saw more? What if we left the world better in each moment than it was when we arrived? Even if that meant doing hard things, what would that look like? What would that mean for your job, for your family, for your life? Consider what would happen if we took responsibility for not just our mess, but cleaned messes that isn't ours. What could this mean for a company? What if you taught employees to take initiatives to leave the world and things around them better than they found them? The Sink is the story of small moments that make the biggest impact in our lives and our businesses, if only we paid attention. All it takes is one moment to transform and shift our perspective. I clean public sinks after I use them. I pick up trash in the hallway, in my building, and at work. I write handwritten notes to my staff. I leave handwritten notes for my husband. Every week, I now spend 10 minutes a day with one staff exchanging ideas about our lives. And every day, I send thank you notes to every staff that I observe doing something good. The Sink ignited me to give more, pay attention to details, and achieve results by leaving everything better than the way I found it. Mr. Toastmaster.
Felicity, thank you so much. Phenomenal speech. Excellent job. I know it's, in our pathways, a lot of times there's a common, that's a common theme in the path, is to examine leadership styles. So, and I've heard over the years a few speeches on leadership, and excellent job on yours. That's one of the better ones I've heard in terms of breaking it down, not only just in general, but how you yourself take on leadership. Phenomenal job, Felicity. Thank you so much. Moving right along. The energy of our meeting, it's starting to crescendo. I can feel it. I'm feeling good. We're going on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is giving his last speech in the innovative planning path. He's here to talk to us about his experience completing that path. Please welcome Lucas Calafell with The End of a Path. Lucas Calafell.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and hello, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. As our Toastmaster of the evening, Brian mentioned, I am giving the last speech in the innovative planning path. And this is not the end of the journey, though. This is just one milestone in the journey of improving one's public speaking and leadership skills. When I mention a milestone, I think of traveling. Let's say you were doing a road trip. Just getting out of Florida is a milestone in itself because it's so long, especially leaving from Miami. What I want to start with is how I even got into Toastmasters, because I did not even mention this In my icebreaker, I talked about something completely different, didn't mention at all why I was at Coral Gables Toastmasters or Toastmasters at all. I have a question for you. How many of you, and you can raise your hand, how many of you have given a presentation for work? Okay, I see a lot of hands. That's what I was expecting. And how many of you, after giving that presentation, felt really bad? Like you feel like you didn't do a good job? How many? Right. I was in that same boat. I would give presentations and I wouldn't feel good about it. Luckily, the people that listened to it, they were kind enough not to come up to me and say, hey, you really stunk. Or, hey, you could have done better. But even if they didn't give me that feedback, I knew inside of myself that I did not do well. I could have done better. At some point, I found out about Toastmasters. I did some basic research on it, but it really wasn't enough. And that didn't move me from being stuck to joining Toastmasters. This is what made the difference. In early 2015, there was someone interviewing with my team at my job at the time. And I noticed that she had Toastmasters written on her resume. And then she interviewed and she was so well spoken, and that made the connection. That gave me living proof that Toastmasters can make a difference. In the end, that person got the job, and not because she was in Toastmasters, but because she used Toastmasters as a vehicle to demonstrate why she was the best fit for the position. Soon after, I asked her, tell me about Toastmasters, what is it like? And then in about 2 or 3 weeks, I ended up at Coral Gables Toastmasters, and I joined after my first meeting. I experienced what the meeting was like, got to talk to a few people, and I thought that was the best fit for me. And I'm still here 2 years later, so the club's doing something right. So after that experience, I found out about pathways. And out of all of the 11 paths, I saw innovative planning. And I said, let's give it a shot, because what it was described as far as the goals, was to manage projects and work with others to accomplish goals. And I thought, this is what I want. I want some project management experience. I want to work with others, whether it's collaborating or whether I'm actually supervising others in completing certain projects. Now, when it comes to this project, reflecting on your path, I could address this in one of two ways. I can, number one, go through all of my projects saying, for this project, I did this, and I talked about this. And for this project, I talked about this and did this. But that would not be very valuable for my audience. And I had to ask myself, well, if I did it this way, would I be putting people to sleep? And the answer is probably yes. So I'm going to do it in a different way. I want to make some connections for you between my experience in pathways in this particular path, some of the projects that I did, and how I was able to use them in real life, whether it was personal or professional. And I find this to be much more valuable because in pathways, they always ask you if you recognize whether you can use this in real life, or if you see the relevance, if you see the importance of the skill sets that you've gained and whether you can use them in real life. And the answer should always be yes. Maybe in your mind, you think that, well, I haven't used it quite yet, but I can imagine that it would be important for me to use the skills throughout the path at some point in my career, professional, or in my career or personal life. In level 3, I learned in my path, I learned how to give social speeches. And there were some that I can choose from. And I decided I wanted to learn a little bit more about how I can give a toast. I read the material, went through it, and I gave my speech as a prepared guest speaker at another club. I didn't think I would use it, but as a matter of fact, it did come in handy in my personal life. My family had a warehouse for many years that we were trying to sell. Eventually, we did sell it in late 2019, and it was this big accomplishment because it took years of renovation, of all these different things to get it sold. And after it sold, some family members, some family friends, the realtor that helped us put the warehouse on the market and actually eventually sell it, we all decided to go to a restaurant and celebrate this milestone, this moment. And during that time, I was asked, hey, you should get up and say some words to the group. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And because of that experience of giving a toast previously, I was able to keep my cool. I was able to address each person and specifically address what they did to help us sell that warehouse. I was specific, but I was brief. I didn't want it to become a storytelling session. So that particular project really helped me to stand in front of others at a table and give a toast-like kind of short speech. This was maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes. There were a couple of people that I had to address. In level 4, there was a project, actually in level 3, there was another project called submitting a proposal. And the idea that I had for that particular project was the following. We were meeting in person at the time, and I thought, hey, what I think would help our functionaries is providing them with the official Toastmasters sheet that they could use to make notes, to record whatever it is that they're recording. If they were the timer, they could record the times. If they were au counter, they could record the crutch words and all of that stuff. So I thought, why don't we give them the material so they can make it so it can be easier for them to perform at their best. What that involved is, number one, to determine what was the cost of having all of these sheets printed out, not just for the next meeting, but for all future meetings for the year. That way, one of the officers could have them all on hand and then distribute them to whoever was taking up the roles for that meeting. And I discussed what are the potential benefits of implementing this proposal. In the end, the timing was not ideal because this speech was given and this proposal was submitted in March of 2020. And as you know, COVID was definitely ramping up, and probably the next meeting, we probably went virtual. So there was no point in printing anything. However, I still think that when we do return in person, I think it is going to be a viable proposal to help our functionaries have a much better experience in performing their duties. In level 4, there was a project called Managing a Project Successfully. And with that, in that project, what I did is I managed 2 individuals that were in charge of essentially meeting with clubs in a given area and getting their members enrolled in the Pathways program. We had a set number of clubs. They were distributed to the 2 members, and we had a certain amount of time to get their Pathways enrollment percentage to 75% or greater. What I did is I worked within a system, and they collaborated in that system to, one, identify if they've reached out to the clubs, if they scheduled trainings to show members how to enroll, and to give feedback on what was the experience like. Were they actually able to carry out the training when they scheduled it? And did it have an impact on the percentage? What we did find is that many of the clubs were able to increase that percentage to 75% or greater. In level 5, there's a project called the High Performance Leadership Project. And within that project, you would be responsible for managing a small team, 2 to 3 people, to complete a particular project. I found the opportunity to manage 2 people to basically create a digital program for an online public speaking conference. This conference had over 500, actually over 700 registrations to the conference. So this was a big thing. This wasn't going to just a few people, but it was going to hundreds of people. What that involved on my end, it was a lot of project management. I'm not a great designer, so I needed to get a designer, but provide for that person the tools necessary to successfully complete what they were tasked to complete. I needed to provide clear deadlines and be reasonable with this person as far as what they needed to do. Keep in mind, they weren't being paid for this. This was all volunteer. I had another person that was in charge of editing content and reviewing content for the program. Of course, in any program, you have to make sure that there are no grammatical errors, that the spellings are right, and that people, if they have certain titles, you include those titles. And on top of that, these weren't people that were living in the area. One of my team members lived in Canada. They were on the eastern part of Canada, so there was no time zone difference. But on the other hand, the other person, my graphic designer, lived in Mauritius, which is in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and they're about 8 hours ahead of time. So I had to be respectful of that time. What this path taught me is how to be a better public speaker, how to be more comfortable speaking in front of groups, how to manage projects, and how to be an effective leader and motivator to complete certain tasks and to think about the bigger picture and the vision of what we have in mind. I have a few words of encouragement for you all. Number one, if you haven't yet enrolled in Pathways, do it, because that's going to give you direction and it's going to help you better identify what skills in public speaking you want to improve on, what skills in leadership you would like to improve on. And it's going to give you that direction to get you moving in that in the way that you want to go. The second thing is don't be intimidated. There are 5 levels. There's a lot of speeches, but take it one speech at a time. This will sound cliche, but don't focus so much on the destination, but think about it and focus on the journey on the way there. Mr. Toastmaster.
Lucas, you know, we started in this club around a similar time, so you going through all of that was a blast from the past for me. A nice little summary, because I was there for all those speeches, I was there for all those levels, so I love that recap. That was personal for me. That was a nice speech to hear you out. Kind of took me through the journey as well, so thank you for that. Can we get, I see it here in the chat, but Mario, can we get a verbal timers report?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster. Felicity, his time is 7 minutes, 50 seconds, and Lucas is 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
Is that, is 750, is that eligible for some, that's not right, all right. Yeah, I believe 730 is the cutoff there. Felicity, great speech. Unfortunately, uneligible to be voted for at the end of the meeting. So by default, Lucas will take home that best speaker, but great job, Felicity, nonetheless.
Oh, I was over as well. So I disqualified, yeah, at 13:10.
You know what? I was gonna say we'll still vote for it, but I guess no best speaker tonight, since we'll play by the rules. Both speeches were overtime, but both excellent job. Thank you so much. I was gonna say go ahead and cast your votes, but that won't be necessary for this round. No worries. So let's move right along. It's funny how when we hear music, we can automatically just get transformed. We already know what's coming up. We have questions with that music, that Jeopardy, iconic Jeopardy music. We're gonna have table topics coming up. And our table topics master of the evening, Miss Catherine Stewart. We cannot wait for you to take on the floor and regale us with your challenging questions. Please, Catherine, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm the table topics master for the evening. This is my first time, so bear with me if it's a little rough, but we have a great theme to work with tonight. So thank you, Ryan, for the inspiration, and all of our questions tie in thematically with music. So I'll read the question and then call on people, and I'll start with our members, but then open up the forum to guests as well if you guys would like to join in. Let me just bring up my screen. Okay, here we go. First question. Who in your life is the person that you always seem to be in tune with, and why? This one is for Felix.
Someone in my life who I seem to be in tune with would have to be my wife. She has always been there for me. In fact, yesterday we celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary. And for someone who is very much out of tune with everything, I cannot carry a tune in a bucket, nor am I always there consciously aware of what is going on sometimes. I do tend to ignore her from time to time, but yet we're always able to sync up back together and stay in perfect tune most of the time, to the point that there is often a crescendo throughout our lives of the moments that we are especially in tune. Thank you.
Thanks, Felix. That's awesome to hear, and congratulations on your wedding anniversary. Okay, our next question. What was the first live concert you ever attended, and what was it like? We'll give this one to Klaus.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. So my first live concert, I was 15 years old, and it was this DJ, David Guetta. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a DJ for electronic music, mostly mainstream electronic music. It was amazing. It rained badly. It was supposed to be chaotic. The conditions were not there, but anyways, we had a blast. And I had school the next day. And of course, I went to school, but I slept like 2 hours. I will never forget that night, really. And that was back in my home country in Venezuela. So you can imagine, like, people in my home country, they're more passionate. So I don't know if you can imagine, but imagine the carnival in Brazil, like in Rio. People just, they like to have fun and enjoy themselves. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Table Topics Master, Madam.
That sounds amazing. You really brought it to life for us, and I'm very jealous. It definitely trumped my own first concert. Okay. Where is the place that you sing your heart out like you're a Grammy Award winning artist? We'll give this one to Mario.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics. I would probably say in my car. One of the things that I miss the most about working from home, working from work, is the trip back and forth. It's silly, but I actually do miss it. And that was my thinking time, and the time that I would listen to my favorite songs, and I would sing a lot in the car. And I didn't have anybody to judge me, or I didn't care if somebody saw me from another car, so I would sing as loud as I can with the highest crescendo that I could muster. And so, yeah, I would use the time in my alone time to listen to music, discover new music, listen to One of the things that I enjoy doing is listening to WVUM. The UM radio station has a lot of hip songs that I usually the way that I discover new music. And so, yeah, my car is the place where I would sing like a Grammy award-winning artist. Thank you.
Definitely agree. I think we all we don't miss our commutes, but we miss that time alone. Thank you. Okay, next one. You are a Grammy Award-winning artist. Congratulations, but with fame comes quirks. So what's the odd quirk that you've developed since becoming a celebrity? We'll give this one to Brian.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. You know, now that I'm incredibly famous and everybody loves everything I do, every time I open my mouth, it's like a gift to the world. People obviously want to see me and they want pictures with me, and it can be much. So I just don't leave my house anymore. Now, I know the pandemic, pretty much everyone got into that routine. And they're starting to now, you know, obviously, you know, things are coming up, the Delta variant, but we're starting to get out and relive our lives again. I'm not. I'm staying in. I'm shutting in for life. I enjoy it. I don't want to see people. I don't like the crowds. Everyone really just throwing themselves all over me. I don't live for the gram. That's not what my life is about. I like to sit at home with my dog and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And while I'm making those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I'm thinking of hit records. Okay, that's the difference between me and everyone else. You know, maybe everyone else enjoys a nice PB&J with their dog, but the hit records part, that's just me. That's just me. So I'm going to continue doing that, staying inside and making PB&Js. And now that I see the M&Ms on here, I got an idea. I'm going to throw some M&Ms on those PB&Js because why not? I'm a extremely famous artist. Thank you all. Matt on Table Topics Master, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. We look forward to hearing from you via carrier pigeon since we won't see you in person anymore. Okay, our next one. In an alternate universe, your high school garage band made it big. What is your band's name and what would be the highlights from your documentary? Let's give this one to Wei Win if you're up for it.
Wow, you gave me the hardest one. High school garage band. I never played band in my high school, but I'm actually a fan of all the bands, and I'm an alternative rock fan. And I think if I ever started a high school garage band, I will probably name it Mandarin. That's actually the name of one of my favorite bands in China right now. And I think it's pun intended, right? It's both Mandarin and also I'm Chinese. So that's what I'm gonna name my high school garage band. What would be the highlights from our documentary? Well, first of all, we don't really have a garage in China. So maybe it will be an apartment band instead. And for highlights, I guess we will have all the fun moments when we were playing all the instruments in the apartment, and hopefully it's soundproof because we all live in apartment buildings, and I hope the neighbors won't knock on our doors. But I can imagine we would have a lot of fun making music and came up with ideas. And I imagine we probably will, I would love to have a lead female singer and a female drummer. I think that would be really cool. And that's all. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. I know it was a tough one, but you killed it. Or should we say rocked it? Okay, see here. The next one, when was the last time you lived like a rock star and treated yourself? How about Eric?
Thank you, Table Topics, madam. That's an interesting question. When was the last time that I lived like a rock star and treated myself? I think the last time that I lived like a rock star and treated myself was in 2020 during COVID. I took a risk and I traveled to my home country, Ecuador. Particularly, I traveled to the Galapagos Islands. And during my risk assessment, I figured I wanted to be away. I didn't visit family. I just treated myself by jumping around the different islands. And the Galapagos was fairly safe during that time. And I just needed to practice more self-gratitude. And I wanted to de-stress myself from the stress of the virus and of being home all the time. And I pretty much practiced mental, emotional, and physical well-being. I hike volcanoes. I try to scuba dive, even though I don't swim. It was an interesting situation, and I just like connecting with nature, connecting with different fauna and with different animals. In the Galapagos Islands, you can literally swim with sharks, and nothing will happen to you, particularly hammer sharks and stingrays. So, and also the seals, they swim right by you, like if you're part of the ocean. So that's my answer to that. When I practice mental, emotional, and physical well-being was when I treated myself like a rock star. Thank you, Table Topics, madam.
That sounds amazing. And I know I speak for many of us when I say it. I'm sure we all want to hear more about that in a speech one day. It sounds an amazing trip. Do we have any guests that would like to participate in Table Topics? Anyone?
Hi. Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can see me.
Hi, Barbara. Do you want to answer a question? It's just a free form response, and you just talk to fill the time to practice impromptu speaking.
Yes, sounds good.
Okay. Your question: who is the definitive ultimate boy band?
Oh, for me, New Kids on the Block. It's the very first band. I think there were 3 or 5 of them together. It's the big hit band in the 1980s. So it's New Kids on the Block. Does anyone remember them, or am I the oldest one here?
Yeah, a few of us remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I remember.
Okay, good. So yeah, if that answers the question. And thank you for making me participate, and I hope to join you guys for more sessions.
Great, thanks, Barbara. Would any other guests like to take a stab at Table Topics tonight?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it.
Okay, here we go. It's the summer of 2022, so next summer, and concerts are back again. Who are you going to see?
Okay, well, thank you for this question, Madam Table Topics Master Empress. It's summer 2022, and I think I'd go to see Rihanna. I don't know if she's actually on tour, and it's funny because as I begin talking, it feels as though my heartbeat has built up to a crescendo. But everybody's been waiting for her album, you know, with bated breath. She's teased it for years and years and years, and she still hasn't given a date. But in the ideal situation where she's come out of the pandemic happy and excited and ready to release More Than Makeup, I'd go to see her on her new tour. I'm sure it would be amazing. she'd do a lot of singing and dancing, and she'd probably let her guests sing. I'd like to be one of the guests in the front row who sing because my voice is amazing. It's actually not, but in my mind it is. I'm like Mario on the way to work. I sing in the car and entertain myself. And yeah, I think I'd go see Rihanna with her new mystery album next year. Thank you.
Excellent job, James. And kudos for using the word of the day too on your first time. Okay, I think that wraps up today's session, and I'll hand it back to Brian.
Thank you, Catherine. Excellent job. Excellent job to everybody for answering those questions. Some great responses from our guests as well. Thank you so much. Very quickly, obviously, our guests are not eligible to receive votes. So if Mario, if you took their time as well, you can go ahead and say it. But can we get a timer's count, a timer's report for our table topics responses?
Yes, sir, Mr. Toastmaster. Unfortunately, I didn't get Felix's time. I got too excited about the table topics. I'll do better next time, Felix.
So we'll move him along. He's good. He was a good response, so he passes.
Yeah, it was a great table topic. So, Klaus is 1 minute 12 seconds. Brian 1 minute 21 seconds. Wei Wen is 1 minute 44 seconds. Eric 1 minute 39. Barbara 58 seconds. James 1 minute 11 seconds. And then I didn't time myself. I think I did a minute.
Right, I think you made it. I'm pretty sure you did. I know we had a timer in there. So we'll say our eligible table topics answers tonight that can be voted for. We have Mario, Felix, Klaus, myself, and Wei Wen. Please, everybody, guests included, go ahead and send Klaus in a private message. Yeah, we just got the confirmation Mario qualified. Thank you, Lucas, for that. So vote for either Mario, myself, Felix, Klaus, or Wei Wen for best table topics. And while you're doing that, let's hear another tune to move us right along. Oh no, we will not judge you in this meeting, but we will evaluate you, and that is the next portion of our meetings. Again, no judgment here, but the evaluations are such a crucial part of our meetings. This is really where we come together and we get better, from hearing where we made our mistakes, from hearing where we can get better. And my favorite part is being an evaluator. It really helps me with my active listening and being present in the moment. It's one of my favorite portions of the meeting. Up first, evaluating Felicity. We have Wei Wen Wong evaluating Felicity Tenney Wilson's speech on management. Wei Wen, floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. Felicity, it is my pleasure to evaluate your speech today titled Ignited to Give More. You are a natural speaker. I always see you as a fun and energetic member of the club. And you always speak very clearly and confidently. And I love your hand gestures. You have all the foundation to be a great speaker, a star speaker. And I also had the privilege to evaluate one of your previous speech. And I would have to say, I noticed a common aspect that you can improve on. So I'll just jump right into it. And that is the organization of your speech. So you started your speech with a book called The Sync. So immediately I was thinking, okay, so you're gonna tell about the book, but instead you went back to talk about the manager evaluation. And then you talked about how you self-evaluated yourself, which was very important, but I believe you repeated twice about the process, and also talk about interviews and going to other jobs. So I was thinking, oh, so did she land another job? Which I don't think so. And then at the second half of your speech, you started focusing on the book again, which I believe is the meat of your speech. So this is how I would deliver your speech. Again, great potential, but I think we can make it much better. So I will start with a story. You can give everyone a little bit background because not everyone know about you. I know you are a manager working at Nicholas Children's Hospital, but you can give some background and tell us that you have to do this manager evaluation every year to basically evaluate your management skills. And then you can say, my heart sunk when I saw the report. And then tell us what is what are the aspects that you need to improve on. And you can talk then a little bit about how you self-evaluate yourself and how you identify the problems. And then immediately jump to the book, introduce the book and how you implemented the skills that you learn from the book and how you apply to your real life, your everyday life. And I will also suggest that you end with a band. You can engage the audience by asking a question like, what small changes will you implement to make a big impact tomorrow? So that to get all the audience think as well. So that's my advice to you. And I'm looking forward to your next speech. Thank you.
Excellent job, Wei Wen. Thank you very much for chiming in. Your words are always welcome, and the advice is that of a sage. Thank you very much. Real quick, a quick note. I wrote it down here and I forgot to say it. Eric also qualified for table topics, so you could throw a vote for him as well. Apologize for that, Eric. Didn't mean to leave you off. Let's move right along to our second evaluator of the evening, also Eric. Eric Espinosa evaluating Lucas Califel's speech. Eric, please, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Brian and Lucas. It was my pleasure evaluating your speech. I personally think that you excel at engaging us from the beginning. You asked us a question, and I thought that was a great tactic that that you used, because audience engagement, it's good from the beginning. So you made me curious into what you were gonna keep saying since you asked us the question. And you also enable us with a vision. You help me see how Toastmaster personally helped you. So in my mind, I visualized how it's going to help me. And you also energize us by being really particular and explaining to us how the different levels helped you become a better speaker for your particular path, which is innovative planning path. And I think for project management, that's a really good skill to have, innovation, because that's actually considered a key human capital competitive advantage. So I think you chose a great path. In terms of continuous improvement, I personally like how you use your gestures. You were using your hands, but as for as a recommendation, maybe focus the camera a little more towards your hands, because at times all I saw was the tips of your fingers, and I thought that you were doing a really good job speaking with your hands when I was able to see that. And also to challenge yourself. I mean, right now we're on Zoom, but one time I attended a Toastmasters event, and I just seen it one time. It's the speaker stood up in the actual Zoom. I don't know how he did it, but he had a background and he stood up, and you can see the hand gestures, and it was really cool to see that. I personally would love to challenge myself with that. In terms of clarity, I think that you were very clear. We easily understood you. Your vocal variety was good. Your tone kept crescendo. Your eye contact was also good. Your gestures was one of my favorite parts, as I mentioned, from what I saw, the use of your hands. And also for audience awareness, that was really good. For how I mentioned in the beginning, how from the beginning you made me aware and you engaged me. And I think you had a good comfort level with the speakers. And that's pretty much my evaluation to you. So thank you for the opportunity. And back to you, Toastmaster Brian.
Thank you, Eric. Excellent job. And thank you for stepping in at the last minute. I know you weren't planning on giving an evaluation, especially for a speech that was 13 minutes long. It's not the easiest. So great job stepping in there. Please, Mario, can we get a quick times report for our evaluators?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, Wei Wen, 3 minutes, 19 seconds, and Eric at 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
3 minutes and 19 seconds. It's been a while. Is that a qualifying time? It is. That's good. Perfect. So both evaluators qualify. Please cast your votes to Klaus for your favorite. And we will get those tallied up and announce the winners right after, right when we close up the meeting. Let's move on to our functionary roles, get some functionary reports of the evening. Let's start with our vote, or I'm sorry, let's start with our counter. Felix, please, sir, if you have a report ready to give us.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yeah. I'll start from the front. I had Lucas with 1 so and 1 repeat. Mr. Toastmaster, I had you with 1 Catherine, for table topics, I had her with 1 and an okay. Klaus, 1 and an and. Mario, 1 1 1 and. Brian and Wei Wen, perfect score. Eric, 1 2 1 so and a repeat. Barbara, 2 and 1 so and an and. James, 3 and 4 For the evaluation, Wei Wen had 3 and 1 so, and Eric had 2 Mario also had a perfect score.
Excellent, Felix. Thank you so much. Very detailed. I like how you broke it down with the speeches and the table topics and evaluations. Very good job. Thank you, sir. I was the grammarian tonight. Excellent job all around. Felix, Mario, and James using the word of the day, crescendo. Phenomenal job. It's not always easy to put the words in your speeches, especially in a table topic sense. So great job. Thank you for that. Great job with your contribution. Moving along, Lucas, do you want to give a quick word with the kind of just a quick general evaluation of the meeting?
Sure. We started a little bit after our assigned start times, started around 7:12. We did keep track of time and we're tracking well on time. We should be finishing our meeting on time. Catherine, amazing job doing table topics for the first time. Very relevant questions, very engaging questions tied to the theme of the meeting. There's only one thing, a very, very small thing that I would suggest is that before you screen share, you can already have your presentation in presenter view so that when you screen share, you can jump right into it and we don't see your entire slide deck as you make that transition. There's just that, when that happens, there's always that little bit of awkwardness. So if you do that, you can jump right into it and continue with the table topics. As far as the functionaries, I thought everyone did a spectacular job. Felix, kudos to you for taking this on for your first time. Very commendable effort. Mario, great job as timer. And it happens to the best of us where there's a very engaging speaker and we just completely forget. I've done it, we've all done it, but that's just a testament to the quality speakers that we have in this club. And great evaluations. Wei Wen, of course, a seasoned evaluator, and Eric, thank you again for evaluating me. And it was a kind of a surprise for you when it came to that, but thank you for jumping in there and giving you great effort with your evaluation. That concludes my general evaluation of the meeting. And now I will hand it off back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, if it does in fact go to you. Yep, it does.
Closing time. closing time for our meeting. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I hope you all took our theme and really saw how it just brings us together. Music is that energy, it's that connector, something that is very strong. You know, one of the questions tonight in Table Topics from Catherine was, what was your first concert, your favorite concert? And I haven't been to many concerts, and Klaus gave a great answer with David Guetta performing. And I'm sure just that energy is just, it's electric. And I with these meetings, the energy, especially in person, sometimes in Zoom, obviously we all know it's not the same, but in person, the energy it's electric. And that's why myself and Wei Wen and Lucas, Catherine, we've been in this club now for, I guess for the veterans now of this club. There's a few other that aren't here tonight, but to everyone, our newer members and to our guests, just know that there's an energy, there's a vibe of excellence that we're trying to chase, that we're trying to achieve. It brings us together just like music does. So thank you all so much. And with that, I will conclude my portion of the meeting and hand it off to our president to conclude the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Lucas Calafell, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Brian. Before you hand off to me, do you want to call for meeting roles for our next meeting?
Excellent. I totally forgot. It's my brand new role. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Okay. Our next meeting, we'll make this quick. Our next meeting is August 11th. August 11th. Do we have any takers for a Toastmaster? Not seeing any hands come up. All right, no problem. Any speakers? Anyone want to give any speeches? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I'll do a speech.
Mario with a speech. Love it. Anybody else? Okay, well, sorry, we'll fill that in. Any evaluate?
I'll do a speech, Brian.
We got Felicity coming up with a speech. Excellent.
I need to get through these pathways. There's a lot.
There's quite a few. Evaluators of that evening. I think just for newer members, you must have given 3 speeches to be an evaluator or a Toastmaster or a Table Topics Master. So just to let
Evaluator.
Excellent. Catherine with an evaluator role.
I can be Toastmaster.
Wait, what's a Toastmaster?
Wait, when Toastmaster?
Yeah, and I was going to sign up for evaluator.
Excellent. Okay. Any function or Table Topics Master? Do we have anyone want to be a Table Topics Master? I think Eric.
Eric does. Eric does.
Love it. And any functionaries? Counter, grammarian, timer. Okay, I don't see any hands, but we'll go ahead and fill that in as we get closer. Thank you so much.
I'll be the vote counter.
Felix with the vote counter. I love it.
I can be timer again.
You sure? You got your speaker, right? Are you, Mario, you're speaking. You sure you want to be timer? Well, we can hold off. We'll hold off and we'll see if we'll get closer. Maybe we'll jump to it. But with your speech, we just want you to concentrate on that. So
I could be the timer too, if Mario doesn't want to.
Okay, we can put you down for timer.
Okay, thank you.
We'll make sure to send you those the timer cards.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're pretty good for now. We'll fill it in as we get closer. Lucas, back to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Brian, and congrats on leading a great meeting tonight as Toastmaster of the evening and grammarian. So picking up 2 roles here. And thank you everyone for joining us at Coral Gables Toastmasters on today, July 28th, this evening. I'd like to hear at this time from some of our guests that joined us tonight. Let's look at my gallery view and who comes up first. James, please unmute and tell us what you got from this meeting.
This is my, I think, 4th time. This is like the 4th time I've been here. Once again, I'd say that it was a great meeting. I really enjoyed hearing everyone's speeches. Everyone is so dynamic with regards to just what they bring to speeches. I saw people engaging the audience in different ways, talking about a variety of subjects like Felicity. I'm also a manager, so I was taking a lot of tips from her about the different managing styles. Lucas, you know, gave me a sense of what Toastmasters was all about, and then just seeing all the different functionaries was pretty amazing. I do want to conclude my thoughts with a question. Who do I speak to about becoming a member?
James, real
James.
quick. Yeah, we have Felicity, who's our member, our VP of membership. I did send you an email, James, a couple weeks ago. I don't know, maybe you didn't get it, but if not, we'll make sure we got your right email, because maybe I have the wrong one on file. So I just want to make sure we get that to Felicity.
And we'll have a little breakout afterwards.
Exactly. We'll have a breakout room. You can join with Felicity and she can get you sorted. All right.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. Let's hear from Alexandria. Please unmute and share what you thought of our meeting.
Hi, everyone. This is my first meeting. I really enjoyed it. I like the communal bond that you guys have. It seems like you guys have this down to a science, and that shows that you've been doing this for a while, and I appreciate that aspect of it. I really enjoyed the feedback portion. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a teacher, so I appreciated that thoughtful looking at someone's speech and really looking at the areas of strength and the areas of growth. And I really thought that that's beneficial to crafting stronger speeches as you progress through this process. I also like the portion, the table topics that Catherine was doing. I really think it allows you to think on your feet and be creative as a speaker, which I think is important. And I enjoyed the Toastmaster putting that in the very beginning, putting that the word crescendo in there and really having people try to feed that into their speeches, because I think that's important because when it comes to choosing, especially when you have to do a speech, it's important to stay on topic, to stay on message, and to be able to feed that thought process throughout your entire speech. And I think that's helpful in allowing people to do that. So as an educator, I really enjoy the format of this group. I think it will be beneficial to people as they progress through the process. So thank you for allowing me to peek into what you guys do.
Thank you, Alexandra, and you are more than welcome to join us again. And should you feel like membership would be the best next step for you in your public speaking journey, you can join Felicity in the breakout room and she can answer any questions you have about membership, but you take it at your own pace. Let's hear from our last guest that I see here on the gallery view. Barbara, please unmute and share what you thought of tonight's meeting.
Hello, everyone. I am here because I am very shy speaking. I haven't had any debate or much even speech preparation at school. I had a really hard time, as you can tell, communicating. So that's why I'm here, and please be patient with me. I really want to join and improve all of my skills with you guys. I have a lot to learn, but I feel this is really the place for me. So if I can start as soon as possible with you sending me some guidelines and becoming a member, so I can jump right in, I really appreciate it.
Fantastic, Barbara. And at Toastmasters, anybody, wherever they're at in their public speaking skills is welcome. And it's not about where you start off, it's about the journey, getting closer to where you want to be in your public speaking skills. So if you feel membership is the right thing for you, the best thing for you, Felicity can either email you or you can jump into the breakout room with her after we conclude the meeting. All right, so I got some fantastic news from our vote counter. Klaus, thank you for being our vote counter. We could not have tallied the votes without, and I have some winners here. So first off, of course, we all know that both Felicity and I went over time. So we both were disqualified for best speaker. It happens here and there. Well, let's hear for our best evaluator, drum roll, Wei Wen Wong. And our best table topics, Brian DeSimone. Thank you, everyone who voted. As far as club business, we have a evaluation and humorous speech contest coming up. We have to host a club contest because the contest for the area, which the area will include other clubs in the Miami, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove area, other Toastmasters clubs. That's going to happen October 13th at 7:00 p.m. Therefore, we must, well, should anyone be interested in being in the evaluation contest or the humorous speech contest, Brian will determine the date for that contest, and then he will also get anybody who's interested in participating to be part of that club contest. Brian, you have a comment?
Yeah, just real quick, just to let everyone know the time frame, most likely going to be in September. So just everyone be on the lookout for that. I believe for the humorous speech contest, there is no limitation. As long as you're a paid member, you can participate. And I believe for I was trying to look, but I think for evaluation contest, it just giving 3 speeches because that's what you need to give an evaluation in the club. So I believe that's the only constraint is having given 3 speeches and being a paid member.
Yes, we will go ahead and confirm for evaluation just to be sure, 100% sure, but I do think we're on point with the humorous that it does not require any prerequisites or anything like that. Okay, and that covers our new business unless any officers have anything they need to share. If none, then I will close out the meeting, officially close the meeting and stop the recording.
We taking a picture, Lucas?
Yes, we are, and thank you for the reminder. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we usually take a picture to post on our Instagram. If you do not want to be in the picture, feel free to turn off your camera. I will give us a countdown. Then you can put on your best smile, and I will take that picture.